Alright, so here's how I optimally configure my X3D2 for Tarkov. Gaming mode is going to stay disabled. Next, I suggest most of you just set your expo profile and leave it at that. If you're into overclocking and really want to fine-tune your sub timings, I do have a video showing my fine-tune timings where I used one of BuildZoid's guides as a starting point. So I'm just running these at 6000 CL30, not doing anything crazy on the timing. I've tested RAM speed and capacity and how it affects Tarkov performance. If you're interested in seeing that, check out my Tarkov 1.0 RAM explained video here. The TLDR is that the timings and speed don't matter as much as the capacity for X3Ds and Tarkov. What does matter though is your infinity fabric frequency, which is your F clock. And with AM5 chips, this can run asynchronous from the U clock and M clock, and you want to push this as high as possible. So this particular sample can hit 2133 before it starts to get unstable. My 9800 and 9850 can both hit 2200. It's just going to be luck of the draw. It's the silicon lottery. So hopefully you can push up to 2200. If not, then go down by increments of 33 megahertz at a time to test stability. You can use something like OCCT or just the games that you play or applications you use, depending on how thorough you want to be with your testing. For the uClock Div 1 mode, we want to make sure that uClock equals mClock. This is ideal for AM5 chips, okay? Next, we're going to go into CPU configuration. I'm going to disable SMT, and of course, I've tested this in Tarkov, and it is ideal to disable SMT for Tarkov specifically. It might not be the case for every application or game that you play, but this is a Tarkov optimization video, so for Tarkov specifically, yes, it is better to leave it disabled. If your use case involves you needing multi-threading, then I suggest you leave this on and just know you're going to get a small performance hit, not that big. Next, I'm going to go into AMD overclocking and do my PBO settings. I'm going to set it to advanced. PBO limits to motherboard. Scalar control, I'm going to set it to 5x. For the most part, it's probably not even going to utilize the scalar control, but I just leave it there for redundancy. If you're worried about using the setting, go ahead and just skip the step and leave it on auto. Clock override, we're going to enable it positive at 200. And then curve optimizer, all cores, negative at 15. So I don't go super aggressive on the undervolt just because the 9850X3D and 9950X3D2 are more prone to clock stretching. And even though you might not get crashes, it's more likely to get that clock rubber banding on these two chips because they're basically just binned 9800 dies that are pushed further because they can. So the BIOS side is all set now, but with the 9950X3D2, tuning does not stop with the BIOS. I also use Process Lasso to control which cores are actually handling Tarkov. As I showed in my testing video, there is a little extra performance you can squeeze out of the X3D2 when you configure it properly. Out of the box, it is already a monster, but because this is a dual CCD chip with 3D Vcache on both sides, core assignment still matters. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is make sure Tarkov is open and then open Process Lasso. Go over to the active processes, find escape from Tarkov.exe, and I'll just go down the list here. CPU priority is set to always high. CPU affinity, always going to select the second CCD only, and that means CPUs 8 through 15. You can save and name this affinity set so you can use it as a preset later. Next, IO priority, always high. GPU priority, always high. Memory priority, you cannot set a persistent rule in the free version. If you have the paid version, go ahead and set it to always normal. If not, just manually set it to normal. Efficiency mode, always off. Boost, just make sure always on is checked off already. Induced performance mode, make sure that's checked off. Exclude from pro balance, make sure that's checked off as well. And that's my Process Lasso configuration for my X3D2. Using those settings should change the power plan to Bitsum highest performance, which is what I use for Tarkov. So I just double check and make sure that it's set properly. And that covers the entirety of how I configure my 9950X32 for Tarkov. So that's all I got for this one, guys. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please consider dropping a like and subbing. It really helps me to continue making optimization content like this for you guys. So I appreciate all the amazing support. It's been a fun ride so far this year. A lot of exciting things happening, and we're just getting started. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.